Yeah, yeah, yeah. Huh. Yeah, it's percolating. Good morning. Yeah. Good morning to the people on Facebook. Good morning to the people on IG. Good morning to the people on the YouTube. Good morning to the people on LinkedIn and Twitter too. Java, percolating. Get a vibe, stay ready. Truth in the cup, keep it strong, keep it steady. Pull up a chair, yeah. Take a sip with me. Good morning, good people. Java with Jimmy. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, the love percolating. Love percolating. Java with Jimmy. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good morning. Yeah, the love percolating. Yeah, Java with Jimmy. Good morning. Percolating. Yeah, we in it. Yeah, we in it. Good morning. Good morning. Java with Jimmy. Percolating. Yeah, we in it. Yeah, we in it. Good morning. Good morning. Java with Jimmy.
First of all, the opening song should have been the afternoon song is saying good morning this afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a Midday Java. We are waiting on Mayor Wu to arrive virtually. Just a couple of seconds. And so first, I want to thank everyone, those that participated in the survey. If you went to ask a question after 11:30, the survey was closed at 11:30, so I could compile and get a sense of what the community wanted to talk about. As I mentioned on a post earlier, we wanted to hear, what I usually do. Let me just set some context while the mayor is on her way. I got a pretty good ear to the ground via conversations, text, social media, and when the post goes up, when the mayor is coming on, oh boy, the unsolicited inboxes, texts, comments that come in, and that does give me an opportunity to gauge what the community is talking about, along with this platform and social media. And so I wanted to be a little more intentional this time and actually give the community the opportunity to ask exact questions. And so we're going to ask a few of them. There are 9 questions away from some unsolicited commentary. But I wanted to let you know the areas in which they were the most popular were budget, and it was a tie between community safety and housing and education. And so when I posted that earlier, that did not change. We had a few more people come in, and those top 3 areas stayed the same. And so questions ranged from, hold on. Questions ranged from, I'm doing this in real time. If you have a suggestion, please share it. This is the question. What is your priority? So it ranges from, it seems that you use African Americans for power, but the cabinet doesn't reflect that. I'm a little bit paraphrasing until we ask the exact question. There's one about the officers receiving raises and bonuses are causing deep harm to our communities. There's one that talks about federal housing. Are we going to lose it? Given the budget cuts, why not consider building a smaller, fully public stadium for BPS? Why has your stance on budget been so hypocritical compared to when you were a city councilor fighting Marty Walsh on the budget? Mayor Wolf, fewer building permits being issued and fewer large development projects rather moving forward. When you hear the saying people over profit, what does that mean to you? I would like to know what types of positions are being eliminated from BPS. Um, Reputational integrity in city leadership. Could you share perspective on concerns regarding negative public narratives about Black men in city leadership? With all the speculation about you leaving Boston for a job in Washington, if and when you do feel if you do leave the office of mayor, if you could appoint anyone to the chair, who would it be? Someone asked, why is waiting list so long? I'm not sure what that is in reference to. And then public parks and Franklin Park. So those are the sort of gist of the questions. And so we are definitely going to talk about the budget. I will say that right now, and it sort of hit me in real time yesterday when I was on, I think it was with Brother JL, that the mayor had scheduled, originally it was supposed to be at 9:30, but then the time changed the other day to 12. And so I had a meeting. I was actually supposed to be at the State House, and I think I was out. And when I got the text or whatever, I said yes, and not realizing, and things worked out, not worked out, but as far as the meeting didn't happen. And then obviously I'm not at the State House. So the mayor should be with us shortly. As you may know, she's been out this morning. A couple of announcements, one of which bars and clubs and people that have licenses to serve alcohol will be allowed to do so until 3 a.m. During through the month of July. And so that is going to have a impact on the economy here in Boston, as expected and on brand. And as our brother Domingo Wood, he talked about the fact of the impact in Black and brown neighborhoods. So I would say that Hugh is not in a Black and brown neighborhood, but is in Black ownership. Also, definitely Uptown Social, and also the mix, people that may be having watch parties for the games, that'll give them an opportunity to serve alcohol until 2 a.m. And so that is, yeah, that is interesting. Someone did post that, they had some concerns about it, but I think with that liberty, there also comes a level of responsibility, and we can talk about that at a later date. So I believe, Mayor, let me know, shake your head if you're ready with the setup there. Oh, okay. Good afternoon. I'm a little bit off.
Good afternoon. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. And you got the everything set as far as the audio. Okay, so we're good. Give me your drop dead, since we're a little bit late. Do I have the full 30 minutes?
Yes, I'm
okay.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Sorry, was running around today. So I am between one senior event and another family event, and I tucked into an office here at the local community center for it.
Well, shout out to the community centers. And I mean, come on, if the mayor, says she needs to take a meeting, then that's, going to happen. Mayor, there is a lot to discuss. And I think you had noted last time, maybe an ability to be more intentional about answering the community's questions, though I kind of try to do a synopsis. I this time put a survey out. And so we have kind of 9 questions, and none of them can really be categorized to make them less. And so what I'd like to do is maybe do them in the last 15 minutes. But beforehand, Mayor, as we always do, we check in respectfully and ask how Michelle is doing. I did communicate to you the other day. It's very interesting not seeing Mira. I saw you at the Men's Health Summit the other day, and it kind of dawned on me. I was like, oh, shoot, where's Mira? So, that is definitely something that is a, personal like update that I think you said before she's in school. So how are you doing? And then we're going to jump right in.
Yeah, I'm good. We're kind of counting down the days until summer in the household, and that's a change of routines because there's then all the camps that we're trying to run around to do. But also it's a little bit more relaxed as well. So I'm really looking forward to it. And then Mira did start in daycare. So, and more importantly, she finally stopped crying when I dropped her off. So yes, that's been good. And we're all, I think, in a good place in our family and ready for the summer. What about you?
I won't say publicly, but let's just say that a couple of years ago, I would be getting out of here often. And I haven't done that in a while, and that is happening. And so I'll sidebar you and give you the details of that. But I'm doing well, Mayor. I'm actually doing well. And so I wanted to ask, Mayor, in the frame of, I did ask the community, and I think this wouldn't surprise you. I asked them areas and then questions, and the number one area was budget. The tied two areas were community safety and housing, and then the third one was education. And I would think that education and, well, I don't want to put words in the mouth. So I want to ask you, there's been a lot of energy pushback around the budget process, the amendment, rejection, things like that. And I wanted to ask, and I did hear the other day that you did take some time with some young people at one of the coffee hours, and kind of broke down the youth jobs piece. And so if you don't mind, can you give us a quick overview of the announcements made that cover some budget cut areas, but they are away from the city, if you know what I mean. So for example, one is veterans. You know what I mean? You did veterans with so can you just give us a quick overview of those areas and then maybe end with youth jobs?
Yeah, definitely. So I think even before that, the 10-second version of what's happening with this year's budget in Boston and really with every city in Massachusetts is that you can't spend what you don't have. And unfortunately, everything that's been happening at the federal level has been affecting our budgets, right? Whether it's money that we usually count on sometimes for 20 years longer, all of a sudden being taken away from by the federal government, or things that are causing a lot of uncertainty in the economy, like wars that are being started that are making, oil prices go up, and then tariff policies that are trying to punish other countries, actually then hurting prices here. And so as prices are going up for everyone, prices are also going up with a lot of inflation at the city level. And because we're in a system where cities in Massachusetts can't control how much money we bring in, we're capped at 2.5% increase every year for the most of our what we can use for city services. Whenever costs are going up more than 2.5%, in this case, healthcare, inflation in general, just energy prices, everything I was just saying, it means that we're basically, even though the budget is going up, it's feeling like a cut because the costs are eating up more than we're actually able to do. So over the last 5 years that we've been in, we basically transformed the city budget. We took it from a kind of bare bones, kind of try every year to pick one place where we're going to make some new priorities, to really upping the baselines for what everyone should have all the time. In schools, for example, unlike when I was on the council, now every school has a nurse, every school has a social worker. Those things are just guaranteed. Arts, access to sport, youth sports, things like that. And we've also added and created new offices that either didn't exist before or only had one person before and are now able to reach the community. For example, the Office of Black Male Advancement, our Office of Immigrant Advancement, we really expanded by a lot. Our Mayor's Office of LGBTQ plus Advancement, Women's Advancement. There are a lot of places, our Cultural Affairs Office, places where we had specific communities who had real needs and would benefit from targeted outreach. We grew those offices and we've protected all of that staffing and all of those people who are able to deliver those services in this year's budget. Where we ended up having to cut was in some of the grants to communities. And these are really painful. These are programs that we started for the first time also with funding from the federal government under a different administration, with pandemic recovery funding. And we always knew that those dollars would go away for the pandemic recovery funding and might go away from a different administration. And so grants were a good way to get dollars and impact out into the community without having to then trigger layoffs later. But now that we're in a different time with less resources, we can only spend what we have. However, to try to supplement that, we've been partnering and to restore and replace some of that by bringing in partnerships. So you mentioned veterans, where we took a $750,000 grant program that had been on the city side for veterans, and now there's $1 million grant program with Brighton Marines that's going to reflect the city's priorities and have coordination on the organizations that will be able to tap into that. Similarly, on firefighters, there was a federal grant that had been given that got cut entirely. And so to replace that, even though it wasn't city dollars to begin with, Dana-Farber is partnering so that all of our firefighters will be able to have cancer screening because there's such a high instance of cancer among firefighters. This is in addition to grants that we are keeping as well. So for example, last time I saw you in person, last time I got to give you a quick hug was at the summit that Boston Public Health Commission had hosted as part of the Live Long and Well health equity agenda, particularly closing the life expectancy gap for Black men. And there was $1 million a year commitment specifically for closing that life expectancy gap for Black men in Boston. And that, that was sort of an announcement that we made on that front. And then we said to end on youth jobs. So all of our summer youth jobs are funded as the same level and even more this next budget year. We took a program that had been, when I started on the council, like maybe 3,000 young people getting paid summer jobs, grew it, changed it, took down barriers. Last year, we had 11,000 students doing paid summer jobs in Boston. This year, we're aiming for 12,000. We also started a school year summer jobs program that had last year 1,722 students. We had 1,800 spots, filled a little over 1,700 students doing those jobs. And we have expanded and reframed this program with a coalition, including Private Industry Council, Boston Chamber of Commerce, YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, et cetera, Artists for Humanity, where we're now going to have 2,000 school year jobs from this coalition that will have jobs after school, where students get a stipend for tutoring or doing administrative work and leadership development at school, like BSAC, community-based organizations like Teen Empowerment, where students can go there and help, either it's with younger students or, again, part of their professional development, or company-based jobs where companies can hire teens directly as well. And the goal there is not everyone's going to work a summer job. I mean, not everyone's going to work a school year job. Mm-hmm. Some people want to play sports. Some people want to do academics only. Some people want to, play an instrument, and it takes up a lot of time. But there are many, many students who have to work to support their families. And without any supports, they're most likely to go to a lower wage job. Maybe it's in retail. It takes up many hours. They don't get to control their schedule because they have to go to whatever that business needs. And then it ends up interfering with their academics and doesn't expose them to the kind of career exploration that we know is possible in Boston. So this is a reframe of that program. We don't want any student to not be able to afford and to have to choose. They need to be able to get support for their families and do career exploration and academics. And this is a great way, bringing in a lot of partners to do that.
Mayor, thank you. And I think you know me well. I did well at not trying to interrupt. And so we can thank you for the full context, and nothing you said about the federal piece is a surprise. We've been naming that, in this space since like November, I think, of 24. And so what I wanted to ask, and with that understanding, and this is largely predicated upon some observation of the energy of the pushback around certain spaces. The first question is I asked my guests yesterday, and presumably, and I've said this to you, the lens in which you see the city, the fiscal, the financial forecasts, nobody has that lens. That has to be respected and given credence or credit rather. How do you reason with the budget cuts away from the areas that you named that are covered through partnership? how did you come to the hard decisions of making the cuts that have impact on a lot of the spaces that you named that were, you know, I don't know if it was all ARPA, but you know, created some opportunities. Now they're getting cut. How was that decision process made in some very hard cut decisions?
Yeah. So the basic, I mean, in some ways it's a really hard thing when you have to figure out how to do more with less, or even to do the same with less. But it was actually pretty clear and simple for us when we got down to basic principles, which are that, you know, from my eyes, there are things that only the city can do, city government, I mean, and then there are things that partners can do. And things like picking up trash from everyone's home, or teachers in classrooms, or you know, filling potholes, kind of city services are the job of city government. And we do a whole lot more now within city services. We also include outreach to specific communities. We include thinking about needs like housing affordability and food access and all of this. And so our number one principle was to protect and preserve the staff members who do this work through city government, because that is how we deliver all services, is through the city workforce. And then the extra stuff on top of that, we cut swag, right? There's some times where it's actually really helpful to have branded materials, to do outreach, to let people know about different services, but we cut back on that. We cut back on travel to conferences or other things, even professional development opportunities, which really benefit everyone a lot. But in times when you have to make a choice, you need to make those choices. And then we cut back on grants, which are things that often were work and resources that we could find other organizations, philanthropy, other partners to help step in on in this moment. It really was an either or. Do we have layoffs, and do we cut staff members? And again, remember, every budget builds on the budget from before. So some of these offices, we grew the headcount from like 0 employees to 9 employees in Black male advancement. And every single staff member has been protected in as many of those areas as we possibly could. And so grants were the first to go. The one exception I want to clarify is on the school side, because there have been
about the 400, the 400
yes.
people right now getting laid off, correct?
But this is important to know that that is actually not because of the same budget environment that I described. Those cuts, half are because of schools that have closed. And as we've seen 10,000 fewer students in our district over just the last couple years, we were seeing dollars going to empty classrooms and half empty buildings rather than actually reaching students. And then the other half of those layoffs are related to not school closures, but places where there was declining enrollment also. So basically, it's a choice to get to the staffing level that we need in order to have the same student to teacher ratio that we have had, but also to be able to direct those resources where they'll actually reach students so that everyone has a high quality student experience, and those dollars are going to expand and add special education positions and continue on the priorities that we had, rather than keep funding vacant and declining enrollment areas. And so that's been a tough adjustment. Any disruption within our schools is really, really affects our families. But frankly, that's the kind of thing that the district had needed to start thinking about years ago. And we are finally doing what probably should have been done much earlier than that. And I'll say those educators, there's a process so that everyone usually can get placed in a role. Different roles open up over the next couple months.
2 things there I was going to ask, and this will address, because I do want to leave about 5 minutes or so. There are some announcements you made. One is around the 3 a.m. I definitely want to leave a couple seconds for that. And then also to get into these questions, but one of them I think we can address now. I would like to know, and Mayor, you've got to give me 30 seconds. I would like to know what types of positions are being eliminated from BPS with the budget cuts, and why can't we take even 1 million from BPD to put towards these major cuts? And so can you give an example of positions? And then one question, this is James, because it's education, because it's 400, it's still, the impact is still there. But I think if there could be, if it's not already out there, can you have the team do some sort of schematic of where, like, for example, classroom A, should have students money. You know what I'm saying? So they have like a layman's, you know what I'm saying, to give a little bit of understanding. So we answer, if you could answer that question of positions. And then I got budget. We're going to talk about FIFA. Mayor, I got notes. And then I'm going to try to squeeze in a little bit of White Stadium, Blue Hill Ave, incidents of violence, and then get to these questions because they're kind of all correlated. So types of positions for BPS that are being cut.
Okay. And then there was I was just quickly typing this so I don't forget the pieces of the question. There was that, it was why not cut from BPD, and then what is the minimum schematics, et cetera. So the types of position, well, okay, what I wanted to say on this is, I've been part of city budgets for a long time, dating back to being on the council. And early on, like when I was first on in 2014, 2015, et cetera, every year when there were times that there needed to be cuts, it was this push of the kind of extra stuff would get cut, right? And then there would be a big rally and advocacy to why are we having to cut all of our arts teachers? Why are we having to cut all of the computer or technology classes? Because it was like, we have budget cuts and those are the first things to go. Those are not the conversations that are happening now for a very specific purpose. And that is because we have raised the standards everywhere. So that, again, back then we didn't have a nurse in every school. We didn't have a social worker or family liaison. Those are now just part of the baseline budget, which includes arts, which includes science and all of those things. The places where the cuts are happening are just because that school had fewer students and either it had to be closed and therefore the teachers don't work there anymore, or there were, had more staff than could be justified for the number of students that have been enrolling and choosing those schools. So the types of positions, again, it varies, but it's specifically based on declining enrollment. I will say also that central office got cut too. Sorry, there's a call coming.
You must be in the middle school.
Yeah, central office got cut too, but it's a little bit deceptive because what's coded as central office positions, 2/3 are actually student and family facing. So for example, some of the school psychologists and things like that are coded as central office, even though they touch multiple
details
schools. Anyway, it's a little bit different by different schools, but the thing to know, I guess, is just that it's declining enrollment. BPD, why don't we just take from BPD? We have actually every single department except for BPS has been cut in some way. Including the police department. They have cut positions, they have cut equipment, they have their budget last year to this year also had belt tightening and reductions, just like every department.
Can I ask one quick question there on that? A clarifying one, Mayor, is and I haven't studied the budget, but in the OT of the BPD, that has been increased. Has it specifically that line item? Has the OT been increased, or the overall budget may be decreased? Is the overtime increased and has been increasing?
Yeah, so this is okay. Thank you for asking about this. It's a really confusing part of the budget. Also, there are 3 places where by state law, the city can spend more than what we have the budget for. Everywhere else, you can only spend what you put in the budget. But the 3 places are snow removal, public safety overtime, and execution of courts, which is basically if we're sued and then have to pay to make good on what, the amount that was ordered by the court, we have to pay it no matter how much we budgeted it. So those are public safety related, basically, that we're never going to sacrifice public safety and we have to spend what we need to do. Overtime hours in general in BPD have actually been going down. But the amount of dollars for overtime has gone up because we've had collective bargaining that increased the pay for police officers and other employees, so that per hour it's still going up. But I want to also note that overtime for BPD is mostly connected to events. And so as we do more events, as we have community festivals and block parties and park events, we hear from community members that having a presence of public safety is important to make sure that everything, feels safe. And that when we have large events with a lot of people, we always need to have public safety present. And so that overtime is what we do to manage the fact that there's a lot more events in the summer and when it's warm than during the winter. You don't want to hire, as many police officers as we need for the summer, but then have people sitting around during the winter when there aren't that many events. So we use overtime, and that's sort of the sacrifice of the schedule that officers and their families know, is that they're basically nonstop, especially this summer. They're not even going to see their families for how many events that we have that are needed where we have public safety present. So that's a lot of kind of what's underneath those line items.
Thank you for that, Mayor, for the BPS positions. I hope that question was answered. I can't necessarily see the initial and first name because I'm in the questions now. However, we can, because time is getting away. You talked about, knowing about the budget since on the council. And when it comes to the police budget, there is a question here that I think is kind of related, that your time on the council then till now. And this one says, why has your stance on the budget, this is what they typed, been so hypocritical compared to when you were a city councilor fighting Marty Walsh on the budget? And so when you had said that on the council, I'm trying to, I don't want to say kill two birds at once. I'm trying to
no, I hear it.
It's just the time.
Yeah, and I think what the question asker means is that I did vote no on certain budgets as a city councilor, and now I'm asking councilors to vote yes. I think that's what they mean. I mean, obviously it's different because I wrote this budget and I didn't write that budget that I disagreed with back then. And so we really, took all the information, took the money that we have and put it to the best use, where we are continuing to ensure that we're staffing offices that are delivering benefits directly to community members. And the other big thing that changed between then and now is that back then, there was no way for us to do anything to change the budget except for vote no. Now there was a charter amendment passed, and now councilors actually have the power to amend the budget, which we didn't have when I was on the council. And so councilors now not only can reject the budget, they have the power to add their own changes to it and pass amendments that then I would have to receive and react to.
Now, full transparency, Mayor, this is James' question, because I know a little bit of the process. Some of the reporting some of the council has reported that though they can do that, and I think they're actively about to go over them right now. It was said that you had said that though they may propose amendments and they do that, you're going to send the same exact budget that. So in real time, a clarifying question to that, even though that charter part is there, would you, if they did the amendments, would you send the exact same budget back?
No, so I want to clarify this, that they were not actually saying that about the amendment process. Okay, it's kind of complicated.
And we got it 30 seconds because I want to get time.
Okay, I'm going to go fast.
In the
Basically,
good stuff.
the way it's written, by the second Wednesday of June, so in this case, June 10th, the council has to amend or has to do something to amend the budget. They were asking if they had decided not to do any amendments and just rejected the budget several weeks ago, would I just send back a different budget? And I was saying, I'm not going to send back a different budget unless I see what you all are wanting to change through the amendment process. And they were saying, you change it, you find more money, increase the amounts. We don't have more money. If we had more money to spend, I would be the first one to say, let's get it out into community. We don't have more money to spend. There was no way that rejecting it was going to come up with some magical pot of money that didn't exist before. So that's all I was saying, is that they should exercise their amendment power. Once they send amendments to us, then my decision is whether to change or veto any of those amendments or let it be at that point.
But one yes or no question because of the time, Mayor. With you being said that there's no new money, this is James again, just for people can know the process. If they send the amendment back today by charter, it has to be. You said that there's no new money. there wouldn't be any increase in your editing. It would be moving line
Right.
items around, changing
Right.
numbers. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
right, Mayor, we got to get to a couple of things. I had half an hour at 12:41. Is that extended, or do you got to go?
I think I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. 12:41, Michael says.
12:40. Tell Michael. Hi, Michael. All right, that gives us 3 minutes, Mayor. So, all right. One of the questions. Um, we did the black. Okay, so I'm going to try to put this together. These are two questions. It seems that again, these are written, Mayor. It seems that you use African Americans for power, and now you have cleared your cabinet and shifted priorities away from us. It is disappointing. I am merging a second sort of similar question for time's sake. The officers receiving raises and bonuses are causing deep harm to our communities. And they said, just because looking at it, I seen black. It said many residents, especially black women, black men, and black children, feel unsafe and endangered by those entrusted to protect them. A synopsis. Could you answer concerns of the black community when it comes to community safety? I did get a text the other day about observations of some engagement with young people in police that have been like more out there now. And so if you could, I'm putting them two together, and I got to give you at least 1 minute, Mayor, to talk about the couple of announcements that you made. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get to all the questions, but that's 1 and 2 put together around community safety in the black community. And I guess merging that, and I've asked this before, who's in your ear in reference to cabinet level for the black community?
Yeah, I am really grateful and proud of the leaders that we have steering us in City Hall. It includes a lot of representation from all the different communities in Boston, and including the African American community and Black leaders some who grew up whole lives in the city of Boston, some who have served in city government for 20 years, plus some who are newer to the city, either as immigrants or as folks who came here later in their lives. We have all of those perspectives within the Black community represented in our cabinet and throughout all the levels of leadership in the city. I would say, again, I've been in and around city government for a little while now, and in many, many years of having conversations about what the needs are, what the challenges and also hopes and vision and ideas are from the Black community or Black communities in Boston, because there are multiple ways to not have a single monolith defined as a community. There have been a lot of themes over the years. Safety has certainly been one area where we were chatting. Even when you and I first really started getting into it, the agenda of the Black community very much was focused on public safety, community safety. How do we make progress there? And now we're at a point where we're known across the country as the safest major city. We were just voted the safest U.S. city to be hosting the World Cup. Crime, homicide, violence numbers are down this year compared to last year, and down way below the 5-year average, and down still around the lowest ever levels recorded. Education has been a big area, and investments in our schools. Last year, we had the highest ever graduation rate recorded for Boston Public Schools, which is a vast majority students of color, including many of our Black communities, just like my immigrant family, seeing education as the pathway to ensure that there's mobility and prosperity. We also have talked a lot about contracts, ownership, business ownership, and home ownership, and closing the racial wealth gap. That's been a premier focus of increasing by the most ever the amount of dollars going to contracts from MBE, minority business enterprises, including Black-owned businesses. Some of the largest contracts ever given by the city have gone to Black businesses under our administration. We've also had record home ownership, more than 1,000 families becoming first-time home buyers under our administration. Vast majority families of color, including Black families in Boston as well, now secured in their legacy for generations after. So free bus that we were just able to extend, running through Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, predominantly communities of color, Black Bostonians. And so when we have resources, we push it out to build infrastructure in the community. And I'm really proud of the work that we've done, and it's been in partnership. And certainly we have a lot more work to do on all of those fronts. But
I was going to ask Mayor,
what works.
We're over time, and I was going to just ask, do you see room, for improvement and being able to maybe cite, or who in the cabinet? And I know, and you'll look at me and say, when I was saying particular names or whatnot, it may not be that, but maybe at some point being able to say that such and such, is in place. One of the people that's still in place in there is Karine, and I think maybe she's had some influence on something. I know a little bit over time. So Michael, we're over time because we got to do the mayor stuff. The first one is, in addition to the youth jobs, there was something I saw about Madison, 100 trade jobs within the Madison Voc Tech environment. But one of the things, we'll just announce that quickly, but the other thing was that the governor approved for the state, and you just announced today that Boston will be open until 3 a.m. Did she? Oh,
okay,
I was.
So let me do both of those things. Again, another example of where we're putting our focus and resources. We are rebuilding Madison Park, and that is going to be a $700 million+ project right in Roxbury, right, creating pathways for our local young people with the trades and with other career pathways in Boston. But even before we get to construction, we secured a $13 million grant that's going to go directly to Madison Park to build out job pathways. So a pathway around stormwater and utilities management with Boston Water and Sewer Commission and others, because there's a lot of those jobs that are needed in this new economy, and also around some of the green and climate work, building off of the MOU that we signed, or the PLA that we signed with the Boston Building Trades to guarantee jobs for graduates of Madison Park Technical Vocational High School directly into the trades, so that they're then set for their careers after that. And then, sorry, what was the second? The 3 a.m. Okay, 3 a.m. Yes, the state law did pass for a temporary over the next month. Businesses that currently close at 2 a.m. can close at 3 a.m. and you get an extra hour to accommodate what will be hopefully be more foot traffic, people watching the World Cup games, which some of them start pretty late at night as well. This was our way to guarantee that it won't just be for visitors and tourists and kind of, a flash and then it's gone, but lasting economic impact here in our community.
Wait a minute, Mayor, you said visitors, right? This thing, the state says it ends in July, but when you just said visitors and tourists, I'm like, yeah, after July, we going to be here. It won't be, 3 o'clock for me is whatever, but it does end in July. Do you think, kind of on the spot question, I got to let you go, do you think that this would ever be extended beyond FIFA time?
We're one of the only places in the country where cities can't make that decision. The state legislature makes that decision, and we ask, and then we can get more licenses or we can get more time. So they've said that they're interested in seeing how it goes and working from there. So, we're ready on the public safety front, and on the community front, we're reaching out to all our local businesses. We hope it'll be a flow of dollars into our local businesses, and not just everyone, going out to the stadium or leaving the area because of headache. We want you to stay, enjoy the free watch parties, check out your local bar or restaurant that will have the game on, join one of your neighbors' block parties that we're helping to support, and just show off who Boston is. And, in looking back to our history in order to figure out what we still need to do to keep getting towards that more perfect union.
For the end, I didn't expect those last few words for the more perfect union. Mayor, thank you for being with us. And if we can squeeze you back in, what's this, June? If we can squeeze you back in and maybe check on summer stuff, because there were a lot of questions that got in, and I don't have contact. But I'll send a couple. I ask people as much as concerns. I also ask them for ideas and suggestions. I'll send that over to Michael so he can see the concern and then the ideas as well. And obviously you have to go on to your next class. So we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Oh, all right, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be back with you in just a couple of seconds.
Boston. This is bigger than a race. One Love Sports Academy is bringing the community together for the One Love Indoor 5K Challenge. Kids, families, runners, walkers, every single step supports Boston youth. Come be a part of something powerful. June 27th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at 120 MLK Boulevard in Roxbury.
For the innovators, the dreamers, the risk takers, independent workers who keep our neighborhoods thriving, Connector Care from the Massachusetts Health Connector has plans for every lifestyle and budget.
Having access to affordable healthcare is for everyone in our community.
Connector Care plans help more people save on healthcare that covers all their needs. Find out if you qualify for Connector Care. Visit mahealthconnector.org or call 1-877-MA-ENROLL.
Not that y'all would really care. I'm just going to say it, be transparent and authentic. Y'all don't know what it is to sit and hold space, try to cram all. I probably got to 65%. We covered 1 and 2. 3 could have been a quick yes or no, maybe. Well, no, because the mayor would explain. Someone asked, are we going to lose federal housing? We did ask about the BPS budget cuts. We asked about the stance from city councilor to mayor. We didn't ask about building and building permits. People over profit. We did ask about the BPS positions. Not fully into a question about reputational integrity and city leadership. And about mayor's speculation of leaving. And then the waiting list. Someone asked, why is the waiting list so long? And I don't know what waiting list that was. So it's a lot to try to cram into 30 minutes. But again, we are appreciative of the level of engagement. I am looking, Jesus Lord, I have not touched the comments icon, and I just looked over there. And there are 104. Again, no one knows the experience that I go through. In this is why sometimes I don't look at the comments, because they would have been, I'm not even going, there's a lot. So I'm skimming through them real quick, and oh boy, there is a lot. I see one name that I'm not surprised at, 2 that I'm not surprised is in here. 3, that's not surprised that's in here. All right, as long as folks were respectful, yeah, I can't even be, it will be here another hour. So the last one I saw, Cora said 99 is probably me. Nope, you, JL, and Lawrence was the one that I seen kind of most of the names that popped up. I'm tired. So just the correction for tomorrow, everyone. I did say that Trevor will be with us. He will still be with us. I just need to see if he can do 10:30 or 12 o'clock because I double booked. And so if you remember a couple of years ago, I had a 2 artists with me that travel around this game of the things that Black people say. And so it's a game, it's like a panel. I had an opportunity, hated to turn it down. The event is taking place on the 18th, which is Thursday of next week, and I'm unable to do it. But what I did say was, come back on the show. We need some Black joy. They're going to talk about the event, but the 2 of them have some great energy for Thankful Thursday tomorrow. So they'll be with us at 10 o'clock, and then Trevor will be with us at either 10:30 or 12. I'm going to have to figure that out after I get off the show with you all. So thank all of you that were with us for both shows today. We will be back for 2 shows again tomorrow. And just a quick update also, I heard from Uncle Thaddeus, he is feeling better. He sounds a lot better. He's feeling better, but continue to keep him in your prayers. He was not feeling well the last week or so, and had to have a slight procedure, but he's good. So please continue to keep him in your prayers. I think that's it for announcements for now. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm tired. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys on tomorrow at 10 o'clock. All right. Anthony just said that it was great dialogue in the I need a 2 hour. I still got the waterfront blue on. 2 hours with the mayor, I would be on overload. One thing I will, whether we agree with what is said, the mayor, that brain, that data, and man, that would be a lot. But I'm actually looking to start bringing in some guests to extend, to maybe have some coffee hour type things soon. So we'll look at that. I haven't made any decisions around the summer schedule, you all. I'll think about it next week and we'll let you know. My cousin Chet's in the room. Love you too, Leslie. And that's it, because comments is another half an hour. We'll see you guys.